Hi, I want to introduce you to Cuisenaire rods, and they are really cool manipulatives to teach children math. First of all, let me talk to you about the rods. So these rods are each in centimeter in length, and the white is 1 centimeter. And you can see that the orange represents 10 centimeters, and each one is a one step down. So that we have orange is 10, and then the blue is a 9, the brown is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and the white is 1. So you can use these rods to teach fractions. Now the students in 2nd grade have learned halves, thirds, fourths, and we can begin with the orange. And you can ask the students to take the orange and, using equal parts or the same rods of the same color, can you partition this orange rod equally? So let's look at the orange, and you can say, first you can say, what is a half? What rod would be a half of an orange? Well, I can see that the yellow is half of the orange. So the orange is partitioned into 2 equal parts. And so that would, you can teach them that this is 1/2, and that 2 halves equals 1 whole. You can further take that and say, oh, I can take that orange and partition it into 5 equal parts. That 5 reds equals 1 orange. So that tells me, you can talk to the students and say, this is 1 red is 1/5. 2 reds is 2/5. 3 reds is 3/5. 4/5. Oh, 5/5. And here you can also teach that 5/5 is equivalent to 1 whole, as well as 2 halves, when you're saying that your orange is your whole. Now let's go on down the colors, and let's now look at, now I'm going to change. See, earlier I had said my orange was my whole. I'm now changing, and you would ask the students with the guided notes, how can you equally partition the brown rod? So again, you need to make sure that they are using combinations of the same color. So I can see that the purple is 1/2 of the brown, and that, oh, 2 halves is equal to 1 whole, because I have now changed my brown to represent my whole, and this is 2 halves. Oh, 2 halves equals 1. You can further divide that into fourths, and you can say, oh, I have 4 fourths. Well, that's equal to 2 halves, which is equal to 1. And this is showing conceptual understanding of the standard, the 3rd standard for fractions in 3rd grade. I said that wrong. The 3rd grade standard for fractions, 3 NF1. Understand a fraction, which is 1b, 1 over b, as the quantity formed when a whole is partitioned into b equal parts. So you understand that, say I had 1b, this is 1/4, but if I had 3/4, a over b, that's going to be 3 parts that are equal in measure, and that measure is 1/4. So now I have 3/4. Okay, so we can further go down in our sizes to continue to show procedural fluency using a different color. Now you can change to, okay, I want my blue to represent my 1 whole. Well, you as a teacher know that that's 9, and you really can't do a half, but let the students play and figure it out themselves, and they'll come and say, oh, I can divide it into 3 equal parts. And now here you're teaching them this green is 1/3. Oh, and when I have one of them, that one, when I have 3/3, that's equal to 1. And then you can further, because now we're advancing and we're in 3rd grade, and we're not just doing halves, thirds, fourths. You can say, okay, let's see, oops, that's 1 too many. So I have 3 whites equals and 9 whites. So now I have, my blue is represented by 9 whites, and this 1 white here is 1/9. And when I have 9 of them, that 9/9, oh, it's equal to 3/3, right? It's the same as 3/3. And that's also equal to my 1 whole. So you are showing, you're expressing whole numbers as fractions and recognizing that fractions are equivalent to whole numbers. This is my whole number. And that 3/3 is equal to a whole number and 9/9 is equal to a whole number. You can further understand that two fractions are equivalent if they're the same size. So which is what we just did, but let's talk about some different fractions other than those that are equal to 1 in whole numbers. Let's say that we wanted to talk about 2/3. So let's just take these two. We're talking about 2/3. So here this is 2/3. Well, what is it equal to? It is equal to, remember each of these is a 9th. So this 2/3 is equal to 6/9. Do you agree? See, this is a 9th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/9. So these are equivalent and they are the same size. Now, if you change your whole number that you're looking at, so that was our blue. Say you want to change your number, and now we're looking at the dark green. So we know as teachers that this is a 6, and we'll say, how can you partition the dark green using equal parts? So using the colors, I find, oh, I can make halves. So 2 light greens is equal to a dark green. 1 light green is 1/2. Again, now this is practicing procedural fluency of the concept that you've understood in partitioning into equal parts. Can you further partition this with other colors? Yeah, I can. So I now can use 3 reds. So 1 red is 1/3. 2 reds is 2/3. 3 reds is 3/3. 3/3 is equal to 2/2, which is equal to 1. You can further divide it using the whites. And you can say, oh, well, the whites represent, because there are 6 of them, so this is 1/6. Well, look at this. When I have 2/6, see, this is 2/6. Do you agree? Yeah, there's 2 of the 6, and that's equal to 1/3.